Hey there. Welcome back. Or maybe welcome for the first time. Wherever you are right now, your couch, your bed, tucked under a favorite blanket. I'm really glad you're here. This is your time to relax, to unwind, to put the day behind you, and take a slow, gentle walk through history. Tonight's story is about something oddly specific and oddly soothing. It's about what ancient Egyptian priests didn't wear. Not armor, not jewelry, not even sandals. It's wool. Yep, ancient Egyptian priests never wore wool. And while that might sound like just a tiny detail, behind it is a story of purity, quiet rituals, flowing white linen, and a whole world built on calm, sacred order. So if you're feeling sleepy already, that's perfect. You don't need to remember anything from this story. There's no quiz at the end. This isn't school. Just let my voice drift you off as we step softly into the cool stone corridors of a temple and explore why wool had no place in sacred Egypt. In the still hours before sunrise, Egyptian temple grounds came alive, not with noise, but with quiet movement. You might hear the gentle sweep of a reed broom brushing across cool stone, or the soft slap of bare feet moving silently through shadowed hallways. Egyptian priests were more like temple caretakers than preachers. They didn't give fiery speeches. They didn't live in loud communities. They lived in rhythm, slow, calm, sacred. Every morning a priest would start his day with a ritual bath. Then he'd shave his head, not for fashion but for purity. He'd rinse his mouth with crushed mint and natron, a kind of ancient salt, to stay clean, even in his breath. And then he'd dress in something very simple. White linen, always linen, clean, light, and never ever wool. To us, linen might just be a breezy summer fabric, but to Egyptians, linen meant purity. It was spun from flax, a plant that grew along the Nile. It was clean, light, and natural to the land. To the priests, it felt like sunlight woven into cloth, soft, pure, the opposite of anything heavy or dirty. When they wrapped themselves in white linen, it was more than just getting dressed. It was like stepping into sacred skin, becoming part of the temple. Linen didn't just cover the body, it prepared the soul. Imagine that. Clothing as a kind of spiritual doorway. Now here's the twist. It's not like wool was some cursed material. Egyptians had sheep. They used wool, just not anywhere near a temple, and especially not on a priest's body. Why? Because wool came from animals. It carried smells. It trapped dust. And in the desert heat, it could get sweaty, fast. Wool was earthy, too earthly, in a sacred place meant to be spotless, in body and clothing and spirit. Wool was just wrong. It wasn't clean enough, not sacred enough. To wear it before entering the sanctuary would be like showing up to a wedding covered in mud. Even touching wool could make a priest ritually impure. So they didn't, ever. You see, Egyptians believed their gods actually lived inside statues. They weren't far off or symbolic. They were present, and they needed care, daily. So a priest's job was kind of like being the personal caretaker of a divine guest. He would enter the inner room of the temple, a space not everyone could go, and perform rituals. He'd offer incense, lay out food offerings, even dress the statue of the god. And to do that, he had to be spotless. Every gesture mattered. Every step was deliberate. The robe, white linen, perfectly clean. Nothing from the animal world, no wool, no leather, could be allowed in. Because the gods didn't want dirt. They wanted order, silence, stillness. Imagine the air in that room. Cool stone, dim light, the soft scent of burned resin in the air, and a priest dressed in white, moving slowly, with every step like a breath. In Egypt, linen wasn't just for the living. It followed people into the afterlife too. When someone passed away, especially someone important, they weren't just buried. They were carefully wrapped, layer after layer, in soft white linen. Not once, not twice, but sometimes hundreds of times. The goal wasn't just to preserve the body, it was to keep the soul clean. You couldn't take your gold with you, you couldn't take your house or your favorite meal, but you could be wrapped in something light, something pure, something sacred. Linen was the fabric of eternity. And wool, well, it never got the invitation. Every day the temple followed a rhythm. It wasn't loud, it wasn't exciting, but it was precise and comforting. Like a quiet song played the same way every morning. Priests would wake before the first light touched the pyramids. They'd bathe in cold, sacred water, shave their bodies with curved copper razors, rinse with natron and herbs. Then they'd take out their linen robe, clean, folded, freshly laundered, sometimes perfumed with frankincense or lotus oil. Soft in the hand, light on the shoulders, they'd slip it on and begin their walk through the temple. No rush, no chaos, just slow, steady devotion. Linen wasn't just for priests. Everyone in Egypt wore it. Farmers, bakers, boatmen, children. It was the common cloth of a hot land. It breathed, it moved, it kept the sun off your skin. Men wore wraparound skirts. Women wore sleeveless dresses tied at the shoulder. Children often didn't wear much at all. The heat was too much. But only priests made linen holy. They washed it more often. They folded it more carefully. They treated their robes like relics. Because for them, linen wasn't just comfort. It was connection to the gods, to their ancestors, to a world beyond dust and noise. Now, wool wasn't completely useless. It had a place, just not a sacred one. Travelers might wear it at night when the desert air turned cold. Shepherds wore woolen cloaks as they watched their flocks in the hills. And sometimes traders brought wool from faraway places, like the Levant or even across the Mediterranean. But even then, people kept it outside of temple walls. They never wore it to ceremonies. They never used it to wrap offerings. And priests? They didn't even want to touch it on ritual days. It's like having work clothes, and then clothes you'd never wear to a wedding. Wool was the rugged, practical choice. But linen was for the soul. If you walked into a temple back then, it might feel like stepping into linen. The air cool and dry. The walls smooth and pale. Light filtered through narrow slits high above, falling like soft veils on the floor. And the silence? Thick, peaceful, purposeful. You wouldn't hear shouting. You wouldn't hear bells or horns. Just the quiet scrape of sandals on stone, the flutter of linen robes brushing by, the whisper of incense smoke curling in the air. Even the offerings, bread, beer, honey, were wrapped in linen cloth. Because everything the gods touched had to be clean, not just physically, but spiritually. Here's something kind of amazing. Thousands of years later, archaeologists are still finding linen in tombs, in jars, tucked between mummified toes, folded neatly in sealed pottery. And guess what? It's still there. Brittle? Sure. But whole, recognizable. That's how well it was made, how much it was valued. You never find wool that old in Egypt. It just didn't survive the heat. It wasn't treated with the same care. But linen lasted. Because it was more than cloth. It was a message. Clean, light, eternal. To us today, clothes are often about style, or comfort, or maybe convenience. But to an ancient Egyptian priest, clothing had meaning. A white linen robe didn't just say, "I'm dressed." It said, "I'm ready to enter a sacred space. I've left the dust of the world behind. I'm clean. I'm clear. I belong here." No wool, no clutter, no excess. Just a simple layer of light. A symbol of who you were, of what you honored, of the gods you stood before, in silence. Sometimes history isn't told through what's there, but what's missing. And in every quiet corridor of every temple, wool is missing. Not a scrap of it in the sacred rooms. Not a thread of it near the shrines. Not a trace of it on the garments of the priests. Its absence tells a story all on its own, a story of intention, of boundaries, of holding space for the sacred. Wool was left outside, with the noise, the mess, the animals, the dust, and inside, linen drifted like smoke, white as moonlight, soft as silence. So now, as you settle deeper into your pillow, and the world around you grows quiet, imagine this. You're standing barefoot at the edge of an ancient temple. The air is cool, still, and smells faintly of myrrh. The sky above you is full of stars, the same stars those priests would have seen. You look down, and you're wrapped in soft flowing linen, clean, light. You feel the robe against your skin. It's warm where your body is warm, and cool where the night air brushes by. No noise, no wool, just peace. You walk, slowly, down a long stone corridor. Your steps make no sound. A small oil lamp flickers on the wall, casting gentle shadows. The silence isn't empty, it's full. Full of reverence, of stillness, of rest. And as you walk deeper into the temple, you begin to feel lighter. Your thoughts slow. Your muscles soften. Your breathing evens out. You're safe here, wrapped in peace, wrapped in linen, wrapped in rest. The gods aren't watching. They're resting too. And so, now should you. Sleep well, traveler of history, and thank you for walking softly through time with me tonight.